Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning. It is 5:30 on a Tuesday morning. Tuesday mornings we have to be especially careful of the 30-minute deadline because I have a meeting at my day job. So I have to make sure that I am out the door in time for that, ready and out the door in time for that. So here we go. We are going to sketch this frontier woman this morning. And of course it is a complicated toy on a morning when not rushed. Rush is not really the right word, but this would have been a really good day to pull a snake or a worm out of the box, but I didn't get a snake or a worm this morning, so it is what it is. But it's a frontier woman. Gave me an opportunity to read up on some of the frontier women that helped build our country and really change the world. Good morning, Claudia. Good afternoon. I understand it is your lunchtime. These ladies are really the ones responsible for changing the modern view of womanhood, in that they were every bit as rugged and tough as the men that they followed out to the frontier. And it's because of them that some of the states wouldn't join the Union because women didn't have the right to vote in the Union. Some of the states refused to join the Union until they addressed the rights of women's suffrage. Because of these pioneer women like Rebecca Boone is the first one that comes to mind. Not Pat Boone's wife, Daniel Boone's wife. I started to say Pat Boone's wife. It's not Pat Boone's wife. I think Pat Boone's their great grandkid, or at least he traded on the name. But Daniel Boone was a famous trapper and colonel in the Virginia Army. And his wife, who was 17 years old when they got married, gave birth to 10 children, and then they adopted 8 more between his brother and her brothers and sisters. When their families died of tuberculosis, they adopted the children, so between them they raised 18 kids on the frontier, with Daniel being gone most of the time, 2 years at a time. Doing trapping work and fighting off the Native Americans, Cherokee specifically. Shawnee, Cherokee. But she stayed home taking care of ultimately 18 kids. keeping the household in order, keeping the farm going, making sure the crops got planted in time. School board, hiring school teachers. They moved to Kentucky. She didn't want to go to Kentucky. But there are many different pioneer women out there. They went out there for multiple reasons. The trope is that they went out there either as either with their husbands, or they went out there as entrepreneurial. And when they say that, they usually then follow up with prostitution or entertainment. But you know, a great many of them went out there to seek their fortune just like the men did. Some of them went out there to get gold mines, and some of them went out there to start farms and start fresh. I can't tell. I think she has a neutral expression. There's a lot of accuracy in this. I mean, this model is all the way down to wrinkles in her dress, the furrowed brow of the kid, and there's all kinds of details on this. And I'm not really sure if she's frowning or not. And that brings me to another question I have for you guys. When I first started doing this 100 years ago, I would take the toy and just throw it up on the stage, and however it landed is how I would draw it, because that would give me more of an opportunity to draw what I see as opposed to drawing what I expect to see. So even like right now, I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, well, what kind of face is that? And then I'm trying to go back and draw the kind of face that I expect it to be, as opposed to what's really there. And I'm sure the answer is going to be whatever I think is best, but I'm curious if you would find it as interesting if I had thrown it up on the stage there and it landed base up and you couldn't see any of the details except the foot pedestal that she's on, and maybe some bumpy parts of her dress. Alright, I think that's pretty good for the composition. That's actually a little more detail. Claudia says, I'm glad it's a woman with a is now no and not quad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're glad it's not a worm or a snake or something quick, right? There are little to no wrinkles on her apron, though. This shirt has a pretty good wrinkle going across here. And then the pant leg. This boy is well big enough to be walking. There's no reason for her to be holding this kid. Alright. She liked it with the quad. Throwing people is not my thing. But I would just toss them up on the stage. However they landed on the stage is how I would draw them. You can go back through. Of course, you have to scroll back for years to see the originals. You can go back through the photos on my Facebook or on my Instagram, and you can see back, 7-8 years I've been doing this, and you can see some of them are just laying on their side. I think I did one the other day, laying on his side, and sometimes that's what you have to do to compensate for having multiples. So like this Pioneer woman is part of the Frontier set, but she's also part of the Settlers set and the Powhatan Native set. And if she's not specifically part of the Powhatan Native set, some of the other things from the Pioneer set are, like the fire and the wagon and the horses. So what has happened here? This shouldn't be this way at all. Completely lost that edge. And then broke my lid. There we go. The little edge of her bonnet got lost there. Alright, this is all in shade. But like some of the women, for instance, they get out on the frontier and they start having complications with pregnancy. Well, there's no doctors, so the women become midwives, and then they start learning more about medicine, and they start working with the few doctors that are out there and learning more about medicine. And then the next thing you know, the women are the ones performing all of the medical duties. The pioneer women. And it's like back east they wouldn't even have been acknowledged. And then, like I said, they start talking about becoming part of the United States, and there's laws against that sort of thing in the United States, and the states that have it, Kentucky, say, nah, we're good. If you're gonna take away our doctors and our women's rights to participate in the government that they helped forge, helped defend on many occasions. The French and the British would hire Native Americans to come attack them, or they would actually dress up as Native Americans to come attack them. Of course, that gives the rest of the Native Americans a bad rap, but honestly, if you don't want a bad rap for attacking people, maybe don't attack people. But the women, while the men were out trapping and hunting, women were staying back, defending the household from the French and the British. And then, like I said, then the states want to come back in and say, all right, but we're not going to let women vote. Yeah, we're not really interested in joining then. So the U.S. had to make a lot of concessions to states like Kentucky to get them to join, without giving women the right to vote. Women didn't get the right to vote until what, the 20s? No. Is my dad still on the chat? He probably knows that right offhand. It wasn't the 20s. But it wasn't the 1850s either. She's from the 1870s. She came into the spotlight in she was born in 1839, 39 to 49 to 56. So she got married in 1856 is when she comes into the spotlight of marrying Daniel Boone, Rebecca Boone. Yeah, that was Rebecca. I'd look it up, but I'd have to turn my camera on my phone off. It's interesting, though, how few people have studied the history and know the cause and the language behind it. And I like the guys that go on college campuses and pass out petitions to end women's suffraging. Women are suffraging all around the country, all around the world, actually. And we need to put an end to it. Women's suffraging, they'll say things like women's suffraging has caused so many problems around the globe. and we're trying to put an end to it. And can we get you to sign our petition to end women's suffraging? And they'll go on college campuses and they'll say that, and the amount of women that will sign that petition always cracks me up. I think women's suffraging is a terrible thing. I can't believe in this day and age we still have to worry about women's suffraging. It's just not right. It cracks me up every time I see it. How are we doing on time? Oh, good Lord, it's already 5:51. Must have really broke my lid earlier. I don't want to put too much emphasis on the shadow. The shadow is not the focus. But I want to make sure that I do include the bounce light and the shadow. So that it reads round. If you don't have the bounce light, it doesn't read round. Her apron is not whiter than the background, so I'm not going to shade her. I'm not going to shade her apron. It's not darker than the background. Her apron is actually kind of yellow, but I'm not going to worry too much about her apron. But this dais that she's standing on is darker than her dress. But not as dark as her shoes. And then there's a highlight across here. But I think we're pretty close there. But like Rebecca here, and I don't think this is a depiction of Rebecca, but I've been referring to her as Rebecca Boone. Rebecca here ended up running a tavern and a general store out of a old ship, old boat on the shoreline, when she believed that her husband was dead because he was gone for 2 years fighting the Cherokee. And then he came back and lived out the rest of his days as a surveyor. This kid's arm is lost. Arm and hand both. And that foot, make sure that foot is where it's supposed to be. Dye's highlight still needs to come back a little more. And then the bounce light right here. And the shadow. Alright. $5.56. Pretty good time. Make sure that that dress, even with the highlights, is lighter than the apron, or is darker than the apron rather. And make sure the hands are shaded properly. This is a shadow. And so is this. And it's darker than his shirt. All right. I think I'm there. I think I have it. I'm calling it. I'm going to sit here and overwork it if I don't. Yeah, my mom's talking about Daniel Boone being away for 2 years is a long time. But it was not the first time that he slipped away for 2 years. I mean, he would go on hunting trips. The main reason he wanted to go to Kentucky was because where he was in, I think it was North Dakota, had already been trapped out, and he wanted to go to new hunting grounds, and he had to establish relationships with the natives in the area to make it safe for families. And that didn't always work out so well. Alright, this is about how I saw it. And this is how it compares to the photograph. I needed light right here to shine down on this. I don't want to blind everybody, but just a little bit of light right there would make that so much easier to show you how it compares to the photograph, which I didn't use for reference at all. That's just there for you guys. But anyway, that's our show for this morning, because I have to get ready for my meeting. Appreciate you guys all stopping by. I really do. I do enjoy this. I like the fact that you guys keep me committed to this. It's real easy. It's real easy to wake up one day and say, I'm just not going to do it today. I just don't feel like it. But then you have accountability, because you've got people expecting you to show up. So now you've got to. It's like going to the gym. It's like having a gym buddy. You guys are my art buddies. So anyway, thank you so much for coming by, and be sure and tune in tomorrow morning. Same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel, and then we dance. We dance until somebody says they see me dancing, and once they see me dancing, I know that I can stop the video without worrying about